Hey guys, it's Adam. I hope you're doing lovely. And today, welcome back to Do You Watch Anime, where I sit down with a guest and ask them, "Do you watch anime?" And we go from there. And today, joining me is a voice actor from such series as um, Sugar Apple Fairy Tale, Nasim Benelkour. How are you today?
Yes, I'm doing good. I'm doing lovely, man. I'm excited to be on this podcast and just talk about anime, one of my favorite genres out there, to be honest.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much for being on. So, where did you first get into anime or how?
Oh man. Well, it's something that I don't like to admit as an anime fan.
Yeah.
I started with having a undying hate for anime. Yeah, I remember, back in high school, I was always close with a group of friends of mine back in my, junior to senior year, and they would always talk about anime,
Yeah.
and me being from the environment that I kinda grew up in, I just
Mhm.
thought it was corny, I was just like, "Oh, Japanese cartoons, ugh, what is that?" But then COVID happened, and when
Yeah.
COVID happened, we kind of got stuck in the crib, we got stuck in the house, and there wasn't really a lot to do, and that's where, streaming services really started, like, going out there and, like, really putting the metal to the pedal, putting out stuff here, there, and there for everybody to
Yeah.
watch while they're at home to have something to do, and I went on Netflix, and I saw the series, Naruto, and I'm
Okay.
like, I'm going to try this out. I'm gonna watch 1 episode while eating a delicious chicken sandwich and,
Hell yeah.
see if this is good. And I sat there and watched 3 seasons straight throughout the entire day, and I'm just like, "Damn, like, this is anime. Wow, I understand why people like this genre now." So
Yeah.
it kind of started from that. It started from Naruto, and it really kind of allowed me to branch out into watching other anime
Mhm.
series that I know and love today.
Yeah, damn. Naruto being the first. Wow, okay. What was it about Naruto that kinda, like, hooked you, do you think?
Honestly, for me, having, gone into it as someone that had a dislike for the genre just based
Yeah.
upon the cringy stereotypes and whatnot, I loved how, deep it went on an
Mhm.
emotional standpoint, especially with our main character, that being Naruto, and, just his complexities as a character, him being viewed as an outcast due to something that he couldn't control, and it was something that, I had similarly related to in certain areas of my life, like that being race and age aspects that I can't control and being viewed
Mhm.
in certain communities as, an outcast almost because of these aspects that, once again, I couldn't control. And being able to have that relatability to a character like Naruto was
Mhm.
something that I'm like, damn, this is pretty cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To find this in a topic or to find this in a genre that I immediately just thought to be cringe and corny, and then going into it and seeing these like fully fleshed out characters with all these unique storylines and really unique, lovable character aspects about themselves. It was just like, damn, this is pretty cool. You know what I mean?
It's
Um, yeah, no, it was dope, and especially just how everything was orchestrated, just as a
Mhm.
story. The fight scenes were amazing. I loved it. The old style animation was also
Yeah.
really cool, blending in with everything. So there was a lot of aspects to it, but I feel like that it was just like that character depth that really just like struck a chord in the back of my brain to me.
Yeah, yeah. I'm one of I've gotten 20 episodes into Naruto, and I'm like, I'm trying my best to, the my friends are the only ones that are keeping me in this.
Mhm.
They're just like, just keep going, just
Yeah.
please. But yeah, that's so where from Naruto, where did you go from there to like branch out into the anime ecosystem, I guess?
Well, from there, it honestly was just like what it was available to me on Netflix, to
Hmm.
be honest, like at the time. And
Yeah.
that's where I kind of branched off to Seven Deadly Sins.
Okay.
Seven Deadly Sins was also like a really great anime that I was like watching and whatnot because of that,
Hmm.
switch in tone comparatively to Naruto to
Yeah,
this.
just
To where
yeah,
it's definitely a switch in
yeah.
terms of, stuff and whatnot. But it was like season 1 of Seven Deadly Sins, it was that very lovable switch, the character dynamics and all of them and whatnot.
Mhm.
And that's when, because I always watched anime in dub, and that's when like the first time I watched something like in Japanese,
Okay.
translation and
Yeah.
whatnot. And I was just like, damn, like, I never thought I would be sitting here watching something like this and
Yeah.
reading to watch, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So no, it went from Naruto to Seven Deadly Sins, and I feel like from there, that kind of timeline just kind of gets a little bit misjointed, because it was really just what was available on Netflix, to be
Totally.
honest. And I was just knocking them out one by one by one by one, and
Yeah.
messaging my friends about it, being like, you should have told me this was so cool. Like, we did. I'm like, oh yeah, I just did it. I didn't listen. Oh
Oh
man.
my god. I love that. So what are some of your favorite anime of
That's
all
a
time?
all time,
Yeah.
man. Oh, bro, that's a conversation, right? Because there's
Yeah.
just so much. There's so much that I
Mhm.
haven't like watched, and I feel like the more and more anime that I watch, I just always end up like changing my top 10 and whatnot. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
But in terms of my favorite one, once again, it's so hard to kind of break the path between them. But I would say it would probably be Hunter x Hunter.
Okay.
Hunter
Okay. Yeah.
Hunter x Hunter it's just a storyline that I feel like that of all anime that I've watched, I've
Mhm.
never had a problem with it, and the only problem that comes with having them at the top is because it's also a mesh between Hunter x Hunter and JoJo Bizarre Adventure, because it's the same reason
Yeah.
of me watching it all the way to its entirety, even going in depth into the manga and not having a single problem with it as, a fan from that perspective.
Yeah.
Like being able to just like be so drawn to these stories and just
Mhm.
like look at it as just like almost perfection in my eyes. So it would definitely be those two, to be
Yeah.
honest. It's a
Okay.
hard pick.
Okay. So with JoJo, I always ask this to JoJo fans I have on the show.
Mhm,
What is it about JoJo that kind of like that you love so much? Because everyone I've had on has a different answer
mhm.
to this question.
Yeah. I would say it's uniqueness. I feel like
Okay.
that JoJo is a story that I can't really compare to a lot of other stories. And
Mhm.
that's in terms of just like in all aspects. The character designs are super unique. I feel like that whenever Araki does draw anything, you can always just immediately, that's Araki. Because it's
Yeah.
so unique and it's so like different, and I feel like that difference just draws a lot of people to it.
Mhm.
And, we even talk about the power system, the power scaling in JoJo Bizarre Adventure with the inclusion of stands and Harmon, coming from these different outlooks and whatnot of these
Mhm.
different abilities and whatnot is once again something that I'm like, this is so unique and different, and it's really good. Because you take a power system like stands, and whenever this kind of goes into like my own writing brain and whatnot when it comes to power systems and all these other things, towards where you want to make a power system that's easily stretchable towards where you don't bump into a problem of, making things the same. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Because once you start making things the same when it comes to power stuff, it starts to get a little bit boring. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because, like, what's the difference between this guy's power and then this guy's power? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, the stand aspects of it, and it having the unique factor of like the stand names being you know taking inspiration from actual music
Yeah.
that we've seen in the real world and whatnot. Just its uniqueness, I feel like, would be like the overbearing tone as why there's so much love for it. And for
Mhm.
me also, I feel like that it also just like it never gets boring. The bizarre name of it is
Yep.
definitely adapted within this story and
Yeah.
whatnot. The fact that every season or every different storyline throughout it, we come across with different characters that still like kind of connect to their own way, and then stopping at part 6, going on to a completely different world, that being
Mhm.
part 7 and beyond.
Yeah.
It's just it's the complexities, it's the uniqueness, and it's the definitely the bizarre element that they put in there very frequently.
Yeah. So so say a normie, quote unquote, right?
Yeah.
Comes up to you and is like, "Hey, I want to start watching JoJo.
Mhm.
What's the pitch to to get them to to get them to start watching?"
Okay. So I would say the pitch for it is that each part is different, right? Each part kind of brings its own like factor into it towards where it's not just one simplistic thing that you can break down and whatnot. It's why that as JoJo fans, we all can't really collectively agree on what the best part is, because everybody kind of has their own part that they love and their
Yeah.
part that they relate to more. Like part 4 is drastically different from something from part 1. Part 1 is drastically different from something like part 7.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That kind of uniqueness in that way, and the fact that it can kind of cater to you no matter what type of anime fan you are. I
Mhm.
feel like that you can go into it and not really be disappointed. Then that is a bold claim,
Yeah.
not gonna lie. It is a
Yeah.
very bold claim, but it's something that I firmly believe, just with how JoJo is written and constructed, especially
Mhm.
with the differences in each part, and how, the characters themselves also have their own differences. Like, the fact that we change MCs every part towards where, these MCs are different. They have their own unique, lovability that
Yeah.
comes with them. You know what I mean? So I feel like that no matter what type of anime fan you are, there is something that you can find love in to watch
Mhm.
JoJo. And that's just more or less just sitting down, thugging it out, and then just watching it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the pitch that I would throw out there, to be
Okay.
honest.
Okay. All right. Cause like, um, again, I've had people on that like I'm like, okay, pitching Hunter x Hunter is pretty easy because
Yeah.
it's one of the best, right?
Mhm.
So I'm like, pitch something very weird, right? now, now listen, no, it's like
Yeah.
a
Now hear me
warning.
out.
Yeah, hear me out. Yeah, I love I'm trying my best to get through it.
Yep.
Because it is no bizarre.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've gotten to part 3 right now.
Mhm.
I am trucking through,
Yeah.
and it is insane. And I've always respected it for its like fashion,
Mhm.
because my God, the
Yeah.
the fashion in JoJo is unlike anything I've ever seen.
Yes.
Um, and like I always go on rants about like again fashion and being like, oh, they're in school uniforms again. Great,
Yep.
awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on to Apple Fairy Tale. There we go.
Yeah.
Which was one of my favorite anime. Was it last year or the year before? I think last year.
I believe, yeah, last year,
Yeah, yeah,
2023.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Literally, we put it on and we're like, oh, oh.
Yep.
Um, so how was that process? Like for the Nadir, right? I think
Yeah,
that's
Nadir.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So Nadir is whenever I come across into like discussing his character is always
Hmm.
kind of hard for me, because as someone that takes this acting stuff from a now fan and an actor perspective, I
Hmm.
was a fan before I was an actor. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So my complexities in terms of like breaking down a character comes from that unbiased sense of being a fan. I break down my characters similarly that I would break down other characters that I don't have voices towards, or characters that I've seen in my past of just like,
Hmm.
looking at stuff. So I do it from a very unbiasedly and critique like esque way. But
Hmm.
I do have a very strong love for Nadir. When
Yeah.
I got cast for him, my immediate action was to go watch that episode to see him in. And I was looking at all these characters, and I initially thought Nadir was Marcusio's character, which I believe was
Okay. Yeah.
Orland. And
Yeah.
I looked at Orland, I'm like, yeah, that's definitely Nadir. But then Nadir popped up, and without even him saying his name, I immediately knew that that was him. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I really do have a lot of love for him, not only just based upon like his bright personality, but also like going into fashion, like he's probably the most dripped up person
Oh,
throughout the entire show. You know what I
100%.
mean? I love, I'm not sure if this was more factual. I have to definitely do more of my research, but
Hmm.
I definitely love the inspiration, or the potential inspiration, that being the Arabic type inspiration in terms of his fashion choices
Hmm.
and what he wears, because that
Yeah.
is something that throughout my family and whatnot, going into my own Arab backgrounds,
Hmm.
something that I definitely would see wore by my dad or something like that. It
Yeah.
looks like something that that would be wore by
Yeah.
my peeps and whatnot.
Yeah.
But no, man. I mean, Nadir was a very oddball throughout the story.
Hmm.
Coming in to voice him, me and Sean kind of had this like little running joke. Sean being the director of Sugar Apple, that Nadir was a very reactionary character. He was just like, "Oh, that thing is happening. I'm going to say something because that thing is happening,"
Yeah.
and it was really cool. Alongside Nadir, I was also voicing Golgar within the same season,
Okay.
and that was my first time having a named character going into recording
Hell
for
yeah.
Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
So it was definitely challenging
Yeah.
having that responsibility, being someone of importance as something beloved as the series, that being Sugar Apple. And
Yeah.
it's a character that I feel like throughout my career from now on and ever, that I always kind of look back on and be like, yeah, I did that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I there was during the season 2 opening,
Mhm.
or the core 2 or whatever,
Yeah.
the opening with all the guys
Yeah.
around her, I was
Mhm.
like, I swear if this turns into a harem, I am losing. I literally yelled at the TV. I was like, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. And then it didn't, and I was like, oh,
Thank
we're
God.
good. Thank
Yeah.
God. I was like, and like all of the guys are so lovely
Yeah.
as well. Like, oh, it's just such a good series.
Mhm.
Oh my
Without
god.
a doubt, without a doubt. I mean, I definitely need to take the time to look back at season one, because I
Hmm.
did look a lot at season two for
Yeah.
it, just to kind of like break down it from an actor perspective, but also kind of
Hmm.
just to enjoy it and respect it from a fan perspective as well.
Yeah.
Um, but from what I've recorded and what I've seen, it is a beautiful story. I understand why there's so much love for this show, because it's
Hmm.
just like, Anne and Xiao's relationship is to die for. You know what
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
saying? Like,
Yep.
it's definitely something I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? From someone, and also from an avid watcher of the romance genre, something that I put out there a lot.
Yeah.
Seeing this once again from a fan perspective, I really do love their relationship. I love the purity of
Yeah.
it and whatnot, because once it starts like exiting the purity aspect of it, there's a little bit of some type of a little bit of step back I
Yeah.
get from
Yeah.
just from a fan. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? From an actor, I
Mhm.
don't mind. I go and
Yeah.
I do the thing, but from
Yeah.
a fan, I'm just like,
Yeah.
I love
100%.
tasteful
Yeah.
things.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. Do I like a little tiny bit of spice? That's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. And then
Yeah,
I get full on, punched in the
yeah.
face with spice, and I'm like, we need to
Yeah,
just.
we need to chill on that.
Yeah.
Let's not
Yeah.
go to the beach this episode. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh man.
So speaking of romance anime,
Yeah.
which is also my favorite genre of anime,
Yes.
yeah, what I am literally, someone came up to me at a con and was like, "I want to start. I'm into shonen. I want to start watching romance," and I was like, "Come here, my child." So,
Oh
what are some
man.
of your favorite romance anime?
Oh man, that's a hard one, because
Yeah.
there's definitely, once again, it's so
Yep.
much. Yeah.
Yep.
But I honestly feel like it's something that I've been watching as of recent, actually,
Okay.
which is the newly Twilight Out of Focus
Ooh.
BL that has come out, man. And it goes back to my main point about there
Hmm.
being, that sense of, what's the term that I use? Purity in terms of tasteful, right?
Yeah.
It's tasteful things.
Yeah.
And it kind of just makes it for me, seeing something like Twilight of Focus, it makes it all grounded in a way. I
Yeah.
never liked how in romance animes there was this unrealistic aspect of it, towards where it's just like, it's this one noted thing. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's that,
Yeah.
oh man, I find this guy attractive. He's kind of cute. Next episode, I'm kissing him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I love that there in this show, there's that actual realism sense of complexity, and
Hmm.
especially with that BL element added to
Yeah.
it, there's also that complexity that gets added on to that from the BL aspect of it, that not a lot of people, put within their stories when writing BLs. Because
Yeah.
some of the times it goes a little bit too, eerie when it comes to things. It's a little bit, icky. You know what I mean? Like, as someone that is, queer, I look at these stories and I'm just like, I just wish that people would spend more time like researching the queer aspect of relationships and really getting it down to the bone. I feel like that from what I've seen so far of Twilight,
Yeah.
they've been really hitting that on the head.
Oh
The
yeah.
second one that I'll put out there, and it's something that a friend of mine, got to be in, that being Horimiya. and Horimiya 100%. Oh man, Horimiya was one of
Oh,
those shows I was just like, I watched it till the its entirety.
yeah,
And I remember a vivid conversation I had with the lead, Marissa Duran, and
yeah,
literally just like fanboying over the show and talking about her performances and whatnot,
yeah,
like in Instagram DMs. I'm just like, this is so freaking good,
yeah,
man. But no, Horimiya was also one of this because it also kind of goes back to it being tasteful. I've always kind of looked at the tasteful aspects of stuff and always felt that if you kind of write it in a way towards where it makes sense, you
yeah.
can make it very beautiful. And
Hmm.
especially when it starts going into topics of like, sexual intercourse and all these other things, towards where that's a human thing. And,
Yeah,
the aspect of that is like you put more into it, it becomes better. You know what I'm saying? It's
yeah,
not just like this one coded, one line thing. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
Horimiya, Twilight of Focus, and I believe there's some others that incorporate that very well, but they just
Hmm.
left my mind. But
Yeah.
those 2 especially have been, the ones that I've been like, "Yeah, this is my thing." You know, like, this
Yeah.
is something I'm like, "Yeah, this is cool."
Yeah, yeah. Before watching Horimiya, I didn't know anything about it. I
Mhm.
was like, "Ooh, a new romance? Count me in." And then I did some more research, and I was like, "Oh, there's like a whole like long manga about this. Holy moly!"
Mhm.
And like it was kind of like the way it was paced, and I was like, "Oh, there's
Yeah,
like more to this story than just the anime." And I was like,
exactly.
"That is so cool. We love
Yep.
that."
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I just and the animation and
Oh,
just
yes.
everything's so it's just so lovely. It's just so
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, man.
Um,
I love it because, there's also an aspect when it comes to anime stories that, I do put out there once again from a fan viewpoint of it. I really do love it when stories pay attention to the other characters going on within the story as well. And
yes.
it's something that as a fan, I don't like when I see stories not doing towards introducing us to these lovely cast and,
Yeah.
they're so great and, they look good, they look cool and we
Yeah.
never hear from them again. I'm like, where do they
Yeah.
go? But, a story like Horimiya, they
Yeah.
really put that focus on, the other characters' lives and what's going on, even like sacrificing time from the lead and their
Yeah.
relationship to focus on these characters, and that makes us love every other character even more because then we go back to seeing them all together and them sharing moments, and these moments feel a lot more special because as a
Yeah.
fan we're like, oh, the reason why they all feel connected to each other is because we've seen these scenes that
Mhm.
have built that up. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I really do enjoy that because I don't like when you know story authors expect the viewer or reader to just expect everything that's going on, to put things in their own head all the time.
Yeah.
I do like it when it's like kind of implemented here and there, just like, oh, maybe this happened or maybe that happened, but to do it all the time, to just be like, yeah, I don't know what's happening, but it is what it is.
Yep.
But I do like when that care and attention to
Mhm.
detail is put towards the other characters in the cast because it makes them important, and it gives them the respect of why they're in the story in the first place. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Why we're even getting introduced to these characters? Why do we continue to see these characters? So I do really enjoy that being implemented into these shows, especially in the romance genre, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a really cool thing.
Yeah. Kimi ni Todoke does that as well. Oh
Mhm.
my god. Literally like I read the manga like the whole thing in like 2 weeks. I was like literally at my desk at work just like scrolling through. Um and then yeah, and then the anime is it has the same kind of feeling as Horimiya.
Yeah.
Just yeah, I just it's so good.
Mhm.
Um yeah, and oh goodness, I just love romance anime so much. Like
Yes.
yeah, as I have a shrine to rent a girlfriend, we're just gonna block that. Um that doesn't exist.
Yep.
Yeah.
It does not exist at all.
Nope, doesn't exist. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just scratching my head right here.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
Yeah. One of speaking of romance BL,
Mhm.
one of my favorites again, I've watched so many anime that I'm like, I think it was last year. Was Sasuke and Miyano.
Oh, yes, I've heard of
Oh
such.
my god. And the oh my god, that was so good. And the dub, The dub for Sasaki Miyano is like a crack dub.
Mhm.
Like it is just so funny and so good. Oh, it's just oh my goodness.
Yes, I believe, both, Joshua Waters and, Kellen Goff share the screen with that, and
Yeah.
that's a pretty cool thing. Waters, I know that they've been doing their stuff with Twilight of Focus also
Yeah.
recently, which is also pretty cool to see, and Kellen
Mhm.
Goff is an actor that,
Yeah.
super big out there. I freaking
Yeah.
love that guy's acting,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, totally. Hearing Josh in Twilight, is it out of focus?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Twilight of
Yeah,
Focus,
yeah.
yep.
And hearing like the deepness of their
Yeah.
voice compared to Miyano, who's like this
Mhm.
hee hee, I'm like,
Yep.
hello, range?
Yeah.
Like, oh my god.
Mhm.
Um also Cherry Magic getting a dub.
Yes.
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 Yeah,
Yes,
we
I
watched that
remember that.
subbed when it was coming out.
Mhm.
Fantastic. It's cute little about adults.
Yes, exactly. It's something that like I feel like that in anime, and it's something that I don't really have much of a desire towards compared to my colleagues because I
Mhm.
am very young myself.
Yeah.
But comparatively to my older colleagues, they look at anime and they're just like, man, I wish that there was a lot of older MCs in
Yeah.
these animes, and I'm like, "Bruh, I understand that, because for years and years and years and probably decades and centuries we've always gotten, younger protags and,
Mhm.
antagonists and all these other things, especially in the romance genre. And I
Yeah.
feel like, with anime being one of those genres that there's so much of, towards where
Yeah.
you can't just look at anime as one thing. It's anime is a comparable topic to saying movies or video games. It's not just one thing, it goes even deeper. I feel like that there should be more stories towards where we see more older MCs. A very good example of an anime that I'm very excited to come out is Sakamoto Days, towards where we get
Yes.
a
So
older
good.
MC, a very
Yeah.
cold MC, if I like to
Yeah.
put it like that. So I feel like that want for having the older MCs, similarly to Kaiju number 8, which is also
Mhm.
something I got the privilege to be a part of as well.
Heck yeah.
It's something that I found really cool because people should have these, animes that get put out there towards where they can find relatability in it. It's the same
Mhm.
reason why I push for more, different ethnic stories that get put out there. I was so hyped when I got to see, Buchigiri come out recently as someone that is, Arab, seeing something like that, drawing a lot of inspiration. The last time we got something like that was Magi that came out a decade ago. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
So seeing these stories where, anybody can kind of find their own relatability to, I feel like that
Mhm.
there should be more of a push for that because I feel like that love from anime comes within that relatability. Similarly to what I was talking about, how the main reason why I fell in love with anime in the first place was because I found relatability in Naruto. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So the relatability is very important. And I do hope that kind of more stories get pushed out there, to kind of find that relatability with more people.
100%. So speaking of Kaiju number 8,
Yes.
um how was your reaction to finding out you were going to be in Kaiju number 8?
Oh man, like when we yeah, man. It's one of when I initially saw Kaiju number 8, admittedly, I wasn't a avid fan of it because I just haven't read it. I didn't
Yeah.
read it, wasn't really aware of it. A lot of my colleagues were, and they were really excited about it. I'm like, yeah, that'll be a cool thing to be in. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
when I finally, kind of gotten that offer to go in for Kaiju number 8, it
Mhm.
was something I'm like, oh, this is pretty
Yeah.
cool. I didn't know that I would be Mori because when it comes, getting called in some of the times,
Mhm.
we get called in for 15 to 30 minutes, kind of not really telling us what we're kind of going in for in terms of the characters or whatnot. So I walked in, it was a 15-minute session, and like, yeah, it's probably a bit or something, and then I ended up being Mori, and I was just like, oh, okay, so yeah,
Yeah.
that was pretty cool. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So my reaction to it was just more of like, it's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of like how I view, kind of, being an actor in these shows and whatnot. It's
Mhm.
just like, once again, I view this all as a privilege. So you'll be able to do like pretty much anything and to go in for something as huge as Kaiju number 8 is just like, whoa, that's pretty
Yeah.
freaking dope. But no, to kind of like go in with Mori. Mori wasn't,
Mhm.
kind of also similarly with other characters that I played. wasn't really a character that was as impactful in terms of the progression of the story and
Mhm.
whatnot. But I did love the moments that he was kind of there. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? The cleanup crew gang is something
Yeah.
that I was just
Yeah.
like, putting out there and whatnot. Like, yeah, we're the cleanup crew. We're the
Yeah.
person that cleans your shit. Not your shit, the
Yeah.
kaiju shit. You don't want to be
Yeah.
smelling that. You know? But no.
Yeah. That is one of my favorite aspects of kaiju,
Mhm.
is, like, the kind of world building it gets right from the start.
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, you don't think of the cleanup crew, right? You
Yeah.
just think of boom, boom, go ploo, right?
Yeah.
And then it's
Exactly.
gone."
Mhm.
Which I think that was like, "Oh, that's really like, I was so cool."
Yeah,
I was just
man.
like, "Oh, I don't wanna be one of them."
Exactly.
Welcome to the Patreon shout out portion of the video where I give my lovely patrons a shout out and a thank you, kind of just saying thank you for supporting. And yeah, if you want to support the Patreon, the link is going to be down below. Please subscribe, it really helps me out. And so let's get on with the shout outs. Thank you to Keith, Blythe, Geo, Bunny, and Michael. Thank you guys so much. And yeah, if you'd like to subscribe to the Patreon, it will be down the description below or wherever you get your podcasts. So yeah, go subscribe to that and back to the video.
I
Yeah.
feel like that Kafka had a very started from the bottom, now we're here type,
Mhm.
dynamic within his story, which is something that I really did enjoy for him going to being the cleanup crew because, once again, it's a job that I'm guessing would be looked down upon because who wants
Oh
to be
yeah.
cleaning up kaiju shit? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like nobody wants to do that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But some of the times, people are. And for him to have initially given up on his dream of, being within the defense force to, getting the powers of being able to be a kaiju and
Mhm.
be front and center of all these things, just like it's awe-inspiring, to be at a place in your life where you don't feel like could get any better, to suddenly something happening out of nowhere to kind of progress you to the next stage of your life. That's a realistic output, or a realistic thing that happens within life overall. Not saying that someone's gonna get turned to a kaiju, you know what I'm saying? I hope not, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? I better not see somebody flying throughout the streets.
Yeah.
But it's once again, it's something that, we can kind of draw from as
Mhm.
just a viewer and being like, damn, that's something that actually happens within the world, especially with the unpredictability of how the world is. We can be in one place in our life thinking that it can't get any better, or we're kind of like at our last straws. And then something happens to kind of, change our life, and
Yeah.
it's something that happens out of nowhere to where we don't really expect it. And then when it happens, we kind of work through it. And that's exactly what Kafka does. So
Yeah.
I was really happy to kind of see that with the character and, seeing Naziz's performances. It was,
Oh, so
awesome.
good. So
Awesome to see
good.
another Arab talent. Just,
Yeah.
yeah, love it. Love to
Killing
see
it.
it.
Yeah. When
Hmm.
the announcement was like he was announced or like cast, I was like,
Mm.
that's fucking sick.
Yeah.
Oh, I like because I play Genshin and he's
Hmm.
in Genshin. That's where I know him
Yeah.
from.
Hmm.
So when I was just like, oh yeah, let's go. Yeah. I'm like, hell yeah,
Hmm.
we love that.
Yep.
So going into voice acting, how did you originally like just get into voice acting?
Oh man, it's a question that takes me back all the way towards where I was 12. And when I was 12, I started in the stop motion animation space. I was, a very crack-headed kid. I was always just like, I want to do something and I want to do something now, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And stop motion was something that I kind of fell in love with because it allowed me to create stories with something that I really wanted to do. It creates stories, be a part of these stories, and the voice acting aspect came from that primarily because I was voicing my own characters within the little stop motion animation. I used
Mhm.
Lego minifigures to kind of move them around and
Yeah.
whatnot, which was,
I
all of
was
it,
gonna yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, "Were they Lego?"
yeah, yeah, they were Lego.
Doing time math, I'm like, "Were they Lego?"
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They 100% were.
Heck
Some of them
yeah.
are Lego, some of them are WWE action figures, but we don't talk about that. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? But it was something that allowed me to kind of, formulate, create these stories and
Yeah.
whatnot. Just being a kid and just having, a phone and, a little stop motion app and just taking pictures to, show my mother and be like, yeah, look at this, upload it on YouTube. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, it was something that I look back on and was just like, yeah, that was pretty cool. So I think it was around the time where I turned, I believe, 14, 15, that I was just like, I don't like doing stop motion anymore. It was a process. It was a lengthy process. And
Oh
I'm just
yeah.
like, animation sucks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Animation sucks. And my end product wasn't really good anyway. So I was putting in the work without getting something out of it.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, what I gotta drop this. So
Yeah.
what's the next step? So I'm like, I took something that I loved within the process that was voicing these characters, which throughout the entire process, besides the script writing aspect of it, was something that I had a lot of love for. So I ended up taking the voice acting stuff. I didn't actually take it seriously until I was around 16, 17. But when I did start kind of exploring it, I fell within the impression market and whatnot, doing voice impressions and kind of
Okay.
finding my way through that and mixing that in with content creation as well
Mhm.
was something that I did and something I don't do anymore for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But it is something that I kind of did. And later on, it would actually help me because it would help me kind of discover where my voice print lied, what voices that I could do, what voices that I can't do, and what voices that I can like work on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So taking that going until my 16, 17 years and whatnot, I was just like, okay, I'm going to take this seriously now. I'm going to really put in the time to research as much as I can about voiceover and voice acting to just kind of see what I can do with it, if this career is something that I would actually want to do for the
Mhm.
rest of my life. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Because I feel like that as voice actors that do get into it, it's an aspect that doesn't really get explored as deeply as it should be.
Mhm.
Because there's definitely a lot of ways that you can go about, being a voice actor. You can do it full time, you can do it part time, you could do it as a hobby. But for me, I kind of wanted it to be full time. I wanted to do this like forever,
Yeah.
So if I wanted to do it forever, I needed to, take classes with people that are doing it now. I need to look in these podcasts and, look at these, different avenues to kind of research and put my thoughts into this, be like, is this something I really want to do? And
Mhm.
if this is something I really want to do, how could I do it? So I did that, put in the research for it, and then at the time I was in Florida, um I ended up taking the jump to Texas when I was 18. And I took the jump from Texas when I was 18 primarily because that was kind of the time where I got called in for my first session at Crunchy. So I
Okay.
was just like, damn, okay, I need to make this move.
Yeah.
I need to make something happen. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So I took that jump there, and it's been a year now since I've
Mhm.
been out here in Texas, and now being 19, you know what I'm saying? I'm, doing this now today. So,
Yeah. Just
that's kind of the story of it, to be
yeah.
honest.
Damn. Yeah. When I was like doing research, I like put in your name into Google, obviously.
Mhm.
And it came up 19 years old, and I was like, excuse me? I was like, I am so old. But that's awesome.
Mhm.
So what are some of the series, like kind of like your dream series that you want to be a part of maybe one
Oh
day?
man, so I did put this on like a podcast I did like a year back,
Hmm.
but the number one thing that I would say in my mind would be Blue Lock. And
Okay.
blue in terms of currently would be Blue Lock
Yeah.
and whatnot because it's definitely the most reachable
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
terms of stuff and whatnot. Since Crunchy usually or has dubbed Blue Lock and whatnot. The
Hmm.
Nagi movie recently came out, which a lot of my colleagues got to be a part of. And I was so
Yeah.
happy for them, man. But Blue Lock is definitely something I've been and I post on Twitter a lot. But I have a lot of dream roles in a sense. I have four hyper specifically, and one of them being Oliver Aiku.
Okay.
In the season 2 show of it, where he pops up
Yeah.
in the U20 match, and his character is pretty cool, man. We have the same freaking hair and everything. I remember kind of showing it to my peers and be like, this character is so dope. I actually have it on my lock screen.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
think like
Yeah.
the camera shows it well, but I
Yeah.
have it. I have it on there, and it's just
Yeah.
like he's just a cool cat, man. He's a
Yeah.
really cool cat, and like this, take a show like Blue Lock, which I honestly firmly believe is one of the best, if not the best, sports anime to come out in recent times, is
Okay.
something that I really love, and I will defend it
Yeah.
with my heart. Because man, to kind of go deep into it, Blue Lock is one
Hmm.
of those stories that I feel like combines all the great parts about sports anime into one thing, despite
100%.
the subpar animation of season one, which,
Mhm.
will definitely be approved by season two times, given like, the trailers that we've seen. If
Yeah.
you've seen the trailers, you see how freaking
Whew.
beautiful Aiku
Yep.
looks. It looks really good.
Yep.
Shido looks like he's gonna crash out. You know, so with that, I kind of fell in love with the fact that, we have this new take on the sports genre with it's no longer being a friendship thing and
Yeah.
being an egotistical thing, which I'm like, this is a new thing that we haven't really gotten much besides Kuroko Basket,
Yeah.
which is my second favorite sports anime out there.
Yeah.
But that ego we've kind of only seen with the Generation of Miracles.
Yeah.
Um, as being mainly Daiki Aomine
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
his ass. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. But it's something that was like the main pivot of the show and the main kind of, aspect of the show, that being Blue Lock. And it's something that I feel like that explored a lot more deeply. It's
Mhm.
just so cool, man. I've seen, so many freaking edits of it on TikTok, and I'm like, this is just dope. This is just like dopamine,
Yeah.
like just in the brain. I'm like, this
Oh,
is just
yeah.
cool stuff, you
Yeah.
know. But and honestly, seeing just how much impact it's had, like kind of on a world stage,
It's insane.
it's insane. The
Yeah.
fact that this was implemented in the World freaking Cup
Yep.
was wild.
I was like, "What timeline am I living in right now?"
You know what I'm saying? Like, it
Yeah.
was a big, for Blue Lock to be, one of the, top selling, mangas at one point, outselling as something big as One Piece.
Yeah.
Like it is definitely a big thing. I kind of always talk to the actor for Bachira, Drew Breedlove,
Yeah.
about it a lot, because we kind of go crackhead for crackhead, talking about Blue Lock a lot, and our love for it, man. But
Yeah.
for any of the people out there that kind of have read deeply more into the manga, and I won't spoil
Mhm.
it, I'm not one of those people.
Yeah.
But like going in deep into the manga, there's a lot of new characters that pop up, and like, kind of new complexities that they were dealing with. And we haven't even reached what would be the presumable end of Blue Lock, that being the World Cup. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
the fact that we are getting this story and that is so complex and it's just so cool. The
Yeah.
cool aspect is definitely labeled on this show. It's just cool. That's what
Yeah.
sports are. Sports are supposed to be cool. As someone that is an average sports fan and has watched sports a lot, basketball,
Mhm.
football, soccer, the cool aspect is there, and it's the reason why people love to play sports and why people love to watch sports in the first place. It's
Yeah.
cool seeing your favorite player score. That's cool. You know what I'm saying? Seeing, your favorite team win. That's cool. Seeing your favorite team lose. It sucks, but it's also cool. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Seeing all these different events and, these different like big shows where everybody just kind of puts they're all into it and the best of their abilities. It's dope. It's
Mhm.
cool. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's that almost teenage adrenaline dopamine that just gets injected into Blue Lock that
Yeah.
I love so much, to be
Oh,
honest.
yeah. The amount of times I went, "Oh, let's go," is insane. It was really funny. So my fiance and I were watching a music anime.
Yeah.
It was really good. It was called Sounds of Life.
Mhm.
But there was so many aspects where I was like, this is just a sports anime with musical instruments.
Yeah.
Like I straight up, I was just like, there's the cocky, but he's
Yeah.
really gentle.
Yes.
But I was just like, I see they're like, oh, we gotta practice and like everything. I'm like, this is just a sports anime.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly, man. But
Yeah.
to also kind of bleed into the other dream roles, and the
Hmm.
main one that would be above Blue Lock, and that's just more of like the eventuality, would be a character by the name of Johnny Joe Star in Steel Ball Run of JoJo. And he is in the the part of JoJo that with all JoJo fans can kind of majority agree on is the best part that Araki has put
Yeah.
out forward. And man, Johnny would be a beautiful character to come in for us. If anything, he was kind of, a little bit a part of my, kind of inspiration and motivation to actually research and put the, ideas and the concepts into voice acting to,
Okay.
eventually maybe just even get the opportunity to read for him.
Yeah.
That's my bare minimum. You know what I'm saying? To even
Yeah.
get the audition for it would be
Yeah.
dope. So, I'm throwing it in the sky. I hope that happens. But,
Hmm.
from an actor, I feel like that it's always good to have these, dream roles and whatnot, because anime is something that I hope, but kind of will always be a thing. You know, there's
Yeah.
always new animes, there's always new stories, there's more
Hmm.
and more seasons, there's stuff that has been put out there and hasn't even gotten dubs. There are thousands of shows that are like that. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying? And thousands of stories that aren't regular manga that
Yeah.
are being adapted into animes, just like the recent kind of webtoon spiral that's been going on with Solo
Yeah.
Leveling, Viral Hit, and now the
Totally.
recent True Beauty that's coming out in August.
Yeah.
So that's something that I feel like that, having these dream roles is pretty cool. Like I see, in Jujutsu Kaisen, for example, Hakari, that's something I'm like, yeah, that would be dope to read
That
for,
would that
you
would oh
know.
my god, I
I
can't
I
wait.
I
The
had canon Hakari to be a New Yorker by
Yeah,
every means.
100%.
Like he is 100% a New York
One
street rat,
100%. He smells like New
Yes.
York, like
Yes.
like I also can't wait for the TikTok edits of
Yes.
that when
Oh
he comes
man.
on screen, because
Yes.
all the JJK peeps are gonna be like,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, man.
yeah,
But no, Hikari would definitely be a cool cat to do because
yeah,
once again, he's one of those characters that kind of stand out between the rest. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Towards where he's just cool, man. I love cool characters.
yeah,
What can I say?
yeah.
Kari is definitely one of them, and I feel like this is one last one that I put out publicly,
Hmm.
but would be and this is like a hyper specific one, but Nikolai Tesla in Record of Ragnarok. And,
Okay.
yeah, that was
Wow.
one I was just like, "Whoa, why do I have that one?" But
Yeah.
Record of Ragnarok was a manga that I read, once the anime came out, and
Hmm.
from the fans, they were kind of very disappointed about how
Yeah.
it was, animated and whatnot. For me, I loved it, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
I love mythology so much, and it's a subtopic that I don't really explore often, but when it does get presented to me, I geek out about it because
Yeah.
I love mythology. Mythology is so cool, man, as someone that is Christian and whatnot. I've
Hmm.
explored that within my own rights. You know what I'm saying, and
Yep.
connecting that to other mythologies and other people's beliefs and whatnot. It's just dope. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? To put that all in the anime, aspect,
Yeah.
I find it even cooler, man.
Yeah.
To kind of look at that to see, Adam from the Bible, be adapted into this cool way. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like some people might be looking at it like, I don't know about that. But for me, I'm just like, it's dope.
Yeah.
It kind of gives people just more of like a different outlook. You know what I'm saying? To see Adam go toe to toe with Zeus, like that's anime. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Literally.
Seeing freaking Buddha go against like, bro, like, and then Buddha like being like not even like his actual depiction, but like,
Yeah.
definitely like, something else. I'm like, it's just cool.
Yeah.
It was the coolest thing. So, having read deeply into the manga, there is
Hmm.
a character, Nikolai Tesla, which is based on Nikolai Tesla. It's he presents almost this Tony Stark-esque, attitude and
Okay.
personality to him in the story. And I know it's doubling in a little bit in LA and whatnot. So I don't know. But once again, fun little,
Yeah.
aspirations and stuff to be like, hey, if I did have the opportunity to read for it, I would do it. I think I would kill it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But
Yeah.
we'll kind of see what happens. But no, those
Yeah.
would be like the four, to be honest, in terms of
Love that.
stuff.
I love that. Yeah, that's how Record of Ragnarok got pitched to me. Was
Uh-huh.
like, oh, so there's God versus Adam, and like
Yeah.
all these special, I was like, what? And they're like, but the manga's better. I went, what? I was like, okay, all
Yeah.
right. Damn. So speaking of manga, what are some of your favorite manga?
Oh man, heartachingly, manga is not something that I read that
Hmm.
often.
Yeah.
The only time that I've ever, collectively I've read manga, one being Record of Ragnarok, the other being The Seventh Prince, which was a show
Hmm.
that I was in to kind of just explore the story a lot more. But
Yeah.
the only time that I've had a point in my time that I've read the manga for a show before watching it was twice. And that was
Okay.
for Chainsaw Man and that was for Tokyo Revengers.
Yeah.
And both of them, Tokyo Avengers was a manga that I'm just like, this is dope. You know what I'm saying? This
Yeah.
is dope. I love the aspects about it. Let me read more into it. Chainsaw Man, I'm like, okay, let me read more into it.
Yeah.
This is dope. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I it sucks with Chainsaw Man, man, because once again, just like taking it out of an actor perspective and going it back to it as a fan, seeing the kind of dry spell of there being like nothing animated from Chainsaw Man, I'm just like, it sucks because
Yeah.
similarly, kind of why, and this is why I do, feel a connection with fans that, are a little bit irritated when, stuff doesn't really come out from the certain show, is that it kind of devoids hype for it.
Yeah.
Similarly, like how fans were very up in arms about how part 6 of JoJo Bizarre Adventure was split into
Yeah.
two different cores, which made no sense, as JoJo for the longest time came out week by week by week by week by
Yeah.
week. And, fans were just like, hey, we just kind of want it all in one sitting, because the second core of part 6 was one of the most anticipated moments to happen within the JoJo world, Made in Heaven. That was something that people really wanted to see. And for
Yeah.
people to have to wait for that was, pretty sucky. Like, I didn't even know that it dropped until I went on Netflix one day and I was just like, oh, the next part this dropped. Okay, I'm watching it then.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
There's like
saying?
no promo. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know, and, luckily, I've heard some things towards where Steel Ball Run, won't be picked up by Netflix, so I'm just like, "Yippee." You know
yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm just like, I just don't want that to kinda happen again, you know what I'm saying? Because it's
Yeah.
just, I feel like that it was just a bad call, to be honest. I
Mhm.
feel like that fans, especially with how long we've wait for JoJo,
Oh, yeah.
would be a lot more happier if it just took more time, but for
Mhm.
them to just release it all in one. So going
Yeah.
back to Chainsaw Man, to see season 1 come out and then nothing. And
Yeah.
then I know now that it's going to movies and whatnot, which I'm not really against, but I'm also not really for,
Yeah.
as just a fan wise. I know that it all kind of had to do with the success of Demon Slayer Mugen Train.
Yeah.
I don't like how all of them are just going to movies regardless. I kind of just wanted to watch Demon Slayer just like buy a weekly thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, the fact that I have to go to a movie theater to watch a training arc of Demon
Yeah.
Slayer, like, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? For so fan, it just like, it didn't really make much sense to me. And I feel like
Yeah.
that a lot of these studios should be not 100%, because you don't want to, like, spoil your fan base, but at least give a lot more thought into what the fans want, because these people are going to be bringing in the money. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So, it should be a little bit more sympathy. So yeah, I do hope that more stuff of Chainsaw Man comes out. I also do hope that it all just doesn't like kind of go movies. I mean, in an actor way, it'd be really cool for the actors, because
Yeah.
if it goes to the movies for the actors, like that's pretty dope. But
Yeah.
as a fan, I'm just like, I would like to see that come out weekly again,
Yeah.
because Chainsaw Man was one of those stories towards where I'm just like, there was a lot of love for it because just how cool it was. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And especially with the ongoing parts of Chainsaw Man, like, it's something that a lot of people want to see.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I
I
don't
don't
know.
want to cry in a theater.
Yeah, I want to cry by
I want
myself.
to, yeah. I want
Yeah.
to cry in the comfort of my own home, not with
Yeah,
strangers.
exactly.
I mean, I'll still go see it, but
Yeah.
I won't like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, like, I also look at it from like an anime's perspective. I mean, like, it
Mhm.
does kind of like, it's a little bit good for us anime fans to, like, be able to just like go out and go see it
Yeah.
instead of just being at our crib to go see it. Cause like,
Yeah.
if it's at a, given an option, we'll just stay in the crib. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But
Yep.
I don't know. I feel like that, just once again, as just a fan, I've been reiterating that sentence a lot, but just from a fan perspective, like, it just, I don't know. I just kind of want it to be more of a weekly thing, or maybe just
Yeah.
like a one release thing, because it's just more enjoyable from a fan perspective. It's a lot more convenient from a fan perspective as well. Like, I rather
Yeah.
pay for a subscription than to go out of my way to go watch in the movie theaters. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So that's kind of how I am, to be
Oh,
honest.
totally. Yeah. I am the same way. I every time I hear, oh, it's going to be a movie, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, all right.
Mhm.
And then like the
Yeah.
Demon Slayer coming out with the trilogy.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Nah.
mm,
Yeah.
okay, all
Yeah.
right. I know there's not much left of Demon Slayer,
Yeah.
but I'm just like, I just because I know I'm gonna cry for that. I know
Yeah.
that for a fact.
Exactly. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
but yeah, Chainsaw Man was the first manga I read like sped read
Yeah.
because I heard it was coming out. I heard like all the hype. I was like,
Mhm.
okay, let's sit down and read this. I hadn't really started reading manga at that point.
Yeah.
So I downloaded the Shonen app and I started reading. And I was in the hospital
Mhm.
in the emergency room and I was reading. And then I got to the end of Chainsaw Man, like part
Yeah.
1, and I was like, why am I crying in the emergency room?
Oh man.
I had to like call my fiance and be like, this happened. I'm so sorry. I'm ruining it for you. I need someone to talk about it with. I am, I am not okay. There's
uh,
like, yeah. Oh my God.
oh man.
Yeah. And the art in Chainsaw Man.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
it's really cool, man.
yeah.
It's the manga that does Chainsaw Man. His art
Yeah.
style is one of those things. It's an art style that I'm just like, it just looks cool. It just
Yeah.
looks really dope. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's something that I feel like that draws a lot of attention to the fans and whatnot. It's just like,
Hmm.
once again, it's just really just dope creative stories. You know what I'm saying? That I
Yeah.
haven't really have a lot of comparison to, and just of like how the story is. You know what I'm saying? And how the story is made. It's
Hmm.
not something that I can compare it much to other anime. So I do like those unique stories that kind of just come out, because they're usually, the ones that kind of really hit a lot more
Yeah.
different, because it's something that we haven't seen before. You know, that's why, I mean, when you look at something like the isekai genre, you're just like, another isekai. You know what I'm saying?
Stuck in the world with my water bottle.
Yeah. As someone that now has seen the isekai genre multiplied as
Yeah.
least more of that, because the actor side, like being able to see everything that we're dubbing for the season and be
Yeah.
like, damn, there's literally 4 freaking isekais coming out. And
Yep.
I feel like that now we're getting more isekais towards where like there is a lot more complexities than
Hmm.
just the stereotypical, hey, I got run over. Now I need to go beat this
Yeah.
villain that we're not even going to talk about until maybe the last season of the show. It's going to
Yeah.
be a completely different series. I remember discussing with my like old roommate
Hmm.
about like the complexities of isekai and whatnot, and the fact that we've always had this point where we're like, hey, we need to defeat this villain,
Yeah.
but we never talk about that villain at all, and the story just flips on its head.
Yep.
Now someone's chest is out. Why
Yep.
is that? So I don't know, man. But getting to be a part of some isekais, I've kind of got to like kind of see more of its little bit complexities. Like the show I was reincarnated, very long title. I was reincarnated as a seventh prince so I can take my time perfecting my magical abilities. That, yeah, it's
Yeah.
a long one. But seeing that was something I was just like, okay, now this is a little bit more doper. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I've, preferably, this is, I'm trying to be unbiased as possible. I know
Of
because I
course.
voiced Albert, but
Yeah.
I do prefer Albert's side story that he gets over the anime that we do get for the Seventh Prince, and it's because it's a case towards where a character within the isekai, that being Albert, gets isekai to the real world. And I'm like,
Oh,
that's something I
I
haven't
love
really
that.
seen that
Yeah.
often, because Albert, I read a little bit into it, because at the time when I got cast for Albert, I was just like, I want to give this character as much love as possible, because when I auditioned for Albert, out of all the auditions we got, I didn't think I would book him. You know what I'm saying? So I was just
Yeah.
like, oh man, I want to treat this character with as much respect and as much love as humanly possible. So I just went on a deep dive, read that manga all the way till where I thought that season 1 would be done. I went deep into it, found out that Albert had a side story, and I read a little bit of that too. So it just, here comes Albert, this princely prince going into the real world, and just like, what is that? That's a gun. What? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So just like those little like moments are just like, that's a pretty cool thing. You know what I'm saying? To
Yeah.
take a character from the isekai going into our real world, like our real world, to be seen as an isekai from his perspective, because it's
Oh
like, what
yeah.
the hell is going on? Where is the royalties?
Yeah.
Where is the knights? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Oh man, but no, that's
Oh.
something I'm just like, with the isekai genre, I'm just like, that's really cool. There's also an isekai that came out recently, which hoping, with actors, you kind of hope to be a part of everything. But there's a recent guy that I've been seeing recently, which was, I believed, No Longer Allowed in Another World, where the main character throughout this all just kind of wants to like die in a
Oh
way.
yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's
Yeah.
very like drowsy, very like,
Yeah.
I love his character, man. Cause I'm
Oh
just like,
yeah.
it's an MC that like I've seen in other places, but hasn't been an MC. And especially
Yeah.
thrown in an isekai, where I'm like, that would be so fun.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I saw a clip of that on Twitter and went, I am in.
Yes.
Yeah. I saw it was like the first 5 minutes of the episode, and I was
Yeah, it was
like,
just like I think he popped like some
"Yep,
freaking yeah, he
yep."
popped
And they're
something. He's just
like,
like,
"You're not allowed to die." He's like, "Oh,
oh, damn it. Oh
so
no.
good."
But it's a really cool concept because, like
Yeah,
he goes into it and, now instead of just like, oh, we need to go fight the villain, he's just like, no, I just kind of want to find my shawty because I want to commit double suicide with her. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like
yeah,
it's a different concept, but I'm just like,
yeah,
I love that. I love the difference in it because I'm just like, here we go again,
yep.
defeating another villain.
With a
Rising
video
of the
game,
Shield Hero. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So I'm like, okay, here we
yep.
go. But no,
Oh,
I'm like,
he's so moody.
yeah, exactly. Always so
Yeah,
movie. He has another harem. Oh
yep.
my god. And I love that, because I've been keeping up with it, but like in the No Longer Allowed in Another World, like they try to like still like they play a lot of jokes with like,
Yeah,
bringing the harem aspect of it. And the main character just like not having it, just like, no, yeah,
no,
I'm
yeah.
not like your average MC. you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love the reverse like isekai part.
Yeah.
Like Devil is a part-timer is a really
Oh
good
yeah.
one. When this was apparently filler, I'm not sure.
Mhm.
In Inuyasha, when
Yeah.
Inuyasha went with Kagome to like modern day
Yeah.
and was like just like had a hat on to cover his ears and was like, what is this like I was like, this is my favorite part. This is my favorite part of the series. I
Oh
love this.
man.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh god. But no,
yeah,
I do love it a lot, man. 'Cause I'm
yeah,
just like the isekai genre has just been like, if this is already an overused genre, let's try to add some complexity into it.
yeah,
Like, let's try to add something new. Let's just throw a
yeah.
bone, you know what I'm saying? And that bone probably hits, you know what I'm saying? Because look at shows like Fear and no, no, not Fear and Fear and's not isekai. I
Yeah,
was thinking about I don't know what I was thinking about. But it just shows that are just like that are different within the isekai
yeah,
genre and whatnot. And I feel like that they just have a lot more love into it because of that difference. And especially if
yeah,
they do the difference well, like Uncle Another World,
yeah. That's a great
that
one.
one, that's a
Yep.
great one. That
Yeah.
was the one I was thinking of. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I do enjoy that.
Yeah. So one more question before we go. Um what advice do you have for people wanting to get into VA or like
Mhm.
someone's watching this and wanting to like, ooh, voice acting, right?
Yeah, man. So voice acting is a very complex career, and it's not really something that would be as one noted as a lot of people might think it would be.
Mm-hmm.
So I would feel like the best advice that I can give is something that I did myself that I believe got me in this position in the first place, which is research heavily. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Watching things like this, podcasts, to be
Mm-hmm.
able to kind of explore your knowledge about voice acting and what exactly happens getting into it. I mean, this is a topic that I don't really, kind of go into a lot because it just is a little bit more personal. But for me, I sacrificed a lot to be in this voice acting space.
Mm-hmm.
Me being as young as I am, getting into this field, I've sacrificed bits of my childhood. I'm now in Texas, which is a state towards where I don't really have any family that lives out here. You know what I'm saying? So, like there's just aspects that I feel like that I've sacrificed just throughout my own kind of life to kind of do this voice acting stuff.
Yeah.
And it's something that I feel like that should be explored to kind of go into it because even like removing the youth aspect of it, you can always go into other things towards where, voice acting is a career that if you do full time, there is some stuff that, you might not, get compared to like having a regular 9 to 5, which is
Mm-hmm.
just like, clientele, sending money at certain places
Yeah.
where you don't know like when you might get your next gig or something. So I would say to kind of like make it more simple, just research, just put the
Mm-hmm.
time to research into it, listen to the podcast, go listen to the webinars, take the
Yeah.
workshops, you know what I'm saying? Just explore your knowledge as much as possible
Mm-hmm.
because you'll never get to a point where you know everything. That's just
Yeah.
how it is. But that would be my advice. Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. So where can the lovely people find you?
Well, yes. So, my name is Nasim Benelkour once again. All of my social medias are at Lux Path everywhere. That's LucksPath across all social media platforms, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. For some reason, I have a Facebook. I don't know why, but I do. You know what I'm saying? But that's
Yeah.
everywhere. If you want to find me, that's where I'll be. So thank you so much.
Perfect. So yeah, go follow him. You can follow me at Corky Cosplays. I love there's drilling going on as I'm saying this. There we go. There's follow me at Corky Cosplays on Instagram, Adam Corky everywhere else, and subscribe to the Patreon. It helps the lights. Oh my god. It helps the lights come on and drills in the walls. Awesome. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.